Okay, good morning, Rabotai. Continuing Hilchot Shabbat. We took a little bit of break. We're back to Hilchot Shabbat. And here we are in Siman Shin Mem, which is a Siman that has many, many important details, although the Shulchan Aruch is very short on this Siman. And the first melacha the Shulchan Aruch introduces us to is the melacha of gozez. Gozez was one of the melachot of the Mishkan after they trapped the animal. They had to remove all of the feathers and the hairs from the fur from the fur in order to make it proper tapestry. So from here we learn that one is not allowed on Shabbat to pluck any hair or to pluck any nails on Shabbat. And if one does so, one violates an Isur Deoraita. The Shulchan Aruch writes in Siman Shin Mem Sif Aleph that even if one removes one hair on Shabbat, he is chayav, whether it's from a human body or from an animal. It is all the same thing. And actually, it is a fascinating question that I always thought about, but the poskim discuss it already. Is sometimes you buy chicken that it's not feathered properly. You ever had that? That you have chicken on your table and there's still some of the feathers on it. So you want to remove the feathers. Is there a prohibition of gozez in that case? So actually, it's dead. It's cooked already. Yeah. It's the word called gozez, removing. So there's a sefer called Zait Ra'anan Chelek Aleph Simot Yud Bet that says it's asur to pluck those feathers off the chicken. And Rabbi Baruch Toledano brings this down in this Shulchan Aruch Siman Shin Yud Zayin Sif Hey, that it's something very common that when somebody has cooked chicken, he has some of the feathers that weren't properly removed. On the other hand, there are those who have a very strong rebuttal to this, and they say that once a chicken is cooked, the feathers are not considered anymore as hair that you have to remove. It's considered food. And that doesn't fall under the prohibition of gozez. Rab Moshe Feinstein in Igrot Moshe, Orach Chaim Chelek Dalet, Siman Ayin Dalet, says it's mutar. The Sefer Kezot HaShulchan, Siman Kuf Mem Gimel, writes that you don't see people being careful in this. And in truth, as they say, Shelot Tshuvot Har Tzvi, on this as well, that in Siman Tal, that writes that it's not called a prohibition of gozez because it's already considered food. So that's one thing where it's very relevant. Another area where it's very relevant is when a person is going through his beard and he sees he has some white hairs. He wants to stay young, right? You go through. I have some white hairs over here. Yeah. When you take them off, more come. But he has a yetzer hara. He wants to take it off. So there, the Shulchan Aruch writes, "Mamash, that's isur mishum gozez." Correct. Now, what happens if one's brushing his hair in a way that is not forbidden to brush on Shabbat? When you brush your hair and you know that you're gonna pluck hair, that's asur on Shabbat. But let's say you do it in a light way, and some hair might come out. So then it's not a psik reshe. Now, what's interesting is the following: the Shulchan Aruch continues and says that not only on Shabbat is it forbidden, but also during the weekday you shouldn't pluck out your white hairs out of your brown hairs, because it looks like you are lo yilbash kli gever. You are doing an action of a lady, of dressing like a lady. So the Shulchan Aruch writes you're not allowed to pull white hair out of your beard. And the Shelot Tshuvat Hilchot Ketadot, Rabbi Yaakov Hagiz, I mentioned him many times. He was the Rav in Yerushalayim. Beforehand, he learned the city of Fez. Chelek Bet, Siman Resh Nun Chet, writes that if you're just brushing your hair and the white might come out, you also have to be careful if you know that the white's going to come out. Unless you don't care if it comes out. If you don't care, it's a psik reshe de lo nichele. Other way, you have to be careful. Rabbi Shalom Misas was asked in Shemesh Umagen Chelek Aleph, Seif Yutet, from a bachur that was embarrassed because he had a big patch of white hair and he wanted to make it brown. But he says it's a prohibition. Only ladies are allowed to do it, not men. So Rabbi Shalom and this bachur said, I asked one Rav Chaim David Alevi. He said he allows it if two other Rabbanim agree. So I'm asking you, Rabbi Shalom Misas, the opinion. Rabbi Shalom answers him that based on the Rambam, if the whole reason why you're coloring your hair is to look like a lady, that's the prohibition. Otherwise, if you're doing it because you want to get married, and he says, Litzorich pirya v'rivya, you have an important reason to do so, and that's why you're coloring your hair, says Rabbi Shalom Misas, I'm willing to be lenient as well. Yeah, so therefore, if a person has hair and he feels very uncomfortable that he has a white patch in his hair, it's sticking out. If it's just like that and he wants to beautify himself, it's not as much of a heter, Rabbi Shalom Misas says. But a person has a whole, sometimes people, he has a whole eyebrow that's white, and he wants to make it, a different color. Then Rabbi Shalom Misas is willing to be lenient. Now, what would be if somebody wants to keep his hair young and fresh, and therefore keep on doing that? That he doesn't allow. But that you'd have to see separately if any other posek would allow that. But that Rabbi Shalom doesn't allow. Chazak u'baruch, Rabbi Hanan Yem Nagash Omer, Tzagadosh Baruch Hu